Good evening, everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather on this 5th day of May 2018. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, hazardous weather graphic showing some yellow areas here. This a wind advisory, which is out for the Alaska Range west of the Tok Cutoff area from 10 p.m. tonight through tomorrow, and that's for south winds will pick back up and gust as high as 50 miles per hour. And there's a wind advisory here for the lower Yukon River Valley area, right through there, the Grayling, Russian Mission, Holy Cross, and those areas for winds to increase here from about 6 p.m. this evening, starting just a short time from now. And that'll be out all of Saturday night till 6 a.m. Sunday morning. And that's for winds to pick up to 15 to 30 miles an hour, gusts 45 miles an hour there. Probably see some snow showers to go along with that. And then the flood advisory is still out for AKwx, ice jam flood advisory there on the Kuskokwim River. And that's out until about noon tomorrow. And there's also a flood advisory, ice jam flood advisory out for lower and upper Kalskag. I think it was lower Kalskag has near bankful water in the river there, and so minor flooding is probably likely. And for the breakup chart here, you can see the breakup continuing on down the Kuskokwim River there in toward the lower Kalskag area, AKwx, where the flood advisories are out. Otherwise, breaking up here, Susitna, Manuska Valley, or Susitna, both the Little Sioux and the Big Sioux have some open areas on it. Tanana River still really not much, just not too far downstream from Nenana, still quite a bit of ice, mostly ice. And of course, northern rivers, central northern areas still locked up. And for satellite imagery for today, here's that storm that's moved northward. Moving into the Norton Sound area during the afternoon hours, circulation right through here, and the main front here that brought all the heavy rain to the North Gulf Coast yesterday continued the rain, but beginning to diminishing intensity here over the eastern North Gulf Coast and into the Panhandle had some rain. Then it scatters out to showers down to the south. Looks like it ends completely here in the last frame with maybe some clearing down over toward Dixon Entrance. Also some clearing here, roughly the Manuska Valley, into the central areas there, just to near and southwest and west of Fairbanks, back into the clouds for the North Slope, and then the Aleutians here, cold air mass out here right over the Pribilof Islands, snow showers falling there today, but the wind's not quite as strong. Rain and snow showers all the way down to the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, and the Cirrus Shield there with the next system rolling into the Bering Sea. Not so much the last frames here, most of the shifting off to the southwest, still the ridge axis off to the west of Shemya, but the next storm will be rolling on in associated with that cloud mass. The front right about there at 4 p.m. this afternoon, otherwise low pressure drifting northward. One trough here bringing rain and snow showers, pretty widespread, starting out of snow, and then the snow at Valdez got, I believe it was 6 to 8 inches, 8 inches of snow fell in Valdez overnight last night. Tapering off to showers North Gulf Coast today. Heaviest rain off to the east toward Yakutat in the northern Panhandle, but not as heavy as it was this afternoon. Scattered showers central Panhandle. Areas of snow. Snow advisories were out for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Conditions have improved though, and a narrowing band of snow on down into the roughly the Kotzebue Sound area. Just some snow showers. Same thing for the Seward Peninsula area, and then with this trough snow showers with the Pribilofs. For tonight, low pressure continues to weaken and drift northward there. One trough here bringing snow showers inland there, definitely over the Yukon Delta, lower Yukon Valley, across Norton Sound, the Seward Peninsula. This is the location of the upper level trough, the coldest air core air aloft with drier conditions back to the west. Wind, rain increase over the western and central Aleutians, scattered rain and snow showers to the North Gulf Coast. And this area of moisture really dissipating here over the Panhandle. Overnight tonight, just showers by tomorrow morning, and by tomorrow morning, just lingering showers. Those will end. So looking for a mostly sunny day, especially in the south, where temperatures rise in the mid-60s. A few more clouds up here to the north. This area of precipitation staying back to the west, coming northward into Prince William Sound overnight tomorrow night. And this system pushes gale force winds eastward there with rain to the eastern Aleutians. a less continuous area of snow up here to the north with that. This mostly snow showers here, cold upper trough pushing eastward there and drying out over the Yukon Delta. Snow showers over the Kuskokwim Valley and rain and snow showers into south central Alaska. And for the Monday outlook, big storm here, 977 millibars there near Atka Island. Gale force winds, rain, warmer temperatures spreading northward on those winds with possibility of some snow reaching St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, the interior looking really good. Partly to mostly sunny here from the North Gulf Coast northward to the Brooks Range. A few isolated snow showers up there. And the remnants of that moisture that comes northward into tomorrow night, Sunday night, into south central Alaska, that'll gradually drift eastward and then dissipate, but hold together enough to bring some clouds and showers back into the Panhandle. Mostly over the entire area, actually, to a lesser extent down to the south there. So temperatures will be a little cooler than what you see tomorrow with more clouds and a few showers around. Anyway, for lows tonight down that way, in the 40s there for the Panhandle, otherwise 30s here, southern Alaska, lower 30s, Tanana Valley, and then you hit around 20 there for the Brooks Range. Similar numbers for the Arctic coast, upper 20s, Pribilofs, mid-30s for the Aleutians. Highs tomorrow afternoon, lower 50s, Yukon Flats over toward Eagle. Much like you saw today, I think Eagle is up to 56 this afternoon. 45 to 50, south central Alaska. Teens for the Arctic coast, 20s North Slope, mid-40s Bristol Bay, lower 40s the Aleutians. And southern southeast coast, 65, 6, maybe even 67 degrees in some areas tomorrow afternoon with sunshine. More clouds up to the north, keeping the temperatures near or under 60 degrees. Mid to upper 40s here, southeast Alaska, southeast interior Alaska. And then for the lows Monday morning, 40s again for the Panhandle, warmest down south, 47 say at Metlakatla, and upper 20s to lower 30s over the eastern interior. Single numbers again, but closer to 10 degrees for the Arctic coast. Upper to mid 20s here to lower 30s north central interior, near 30 along the southwest coast, and lower to mid 30s again south central Alaska. And then moving on to the highs for Monday afternoon, lower 50s, lower to say 50 to 55, Tanana Valley northward, 40-mile country, Yukon Flats. Mid 20s, the Arctic coast, 30s North Slope in the Brooks Range, lower 40s over the southwest, but upper 30s along the coastal areas. And Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, mid 40s, same thing for Kodiak. And a little cooler down over the southern Panhandle, with a few more clouds around there, looking lower 60s, mid 50s, up to the northern areas and near 50 along the North Gulf Coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
We've got IFR tomorrow morning here, Sunday morning, Yukon Delta, northern Yukon Delta, Seward Peninsula, Nulato Hills, up across the Kobuk, maybe Selawik Valley, and then the Brooks Range expanding across the North Slope and eastern Arctic coast and then back out to the west. Also IFR, the next system spreading into the western central Aleutians. IFR persisting here along the Alaska Range as well as the North Gulf Coast. And the Panhandle, that improves dramatically here across the Panhandle tomorrow. VFR probably breaking out by midday there across the entire area, the high pressure building in. Marginal VFR on the decrease here, south central Alaska. IFR central eastern Arctic coast, south side of the central Brooks Range. More IFR here, again with that next storm, big storm, moving in across the Aleutians and the southern Bering, spreading marginal VFR up here to the Pribilofs, then marginal all the way up to the Seward Peninsula areas. Then for Monday morning, IFR, central eastern Arctic coast, and along and south of the Brooks Range will be marginal VFR on out to the northwest coast, through the Bering Strait across the Seward Peninsula to St. Lawrence Island. IFR, southeast interior here, especially around the Wrangell Mountains, marginal VFR up to the Alaska Range, covering the Copper River Basin, Prince William Sound, and probably north of Talkeetna here, back into the western Alaska Range. Big bunch of IFR here over the Bering Sea. That's mainly just locked in over the Pribilofs there, and otherwise some marginal VFR for the eastern Aleutians and a little bit out there around Adak, and VFR for the entire southeast coast. Monday afternoon, some marginal VFR starts to make its way onto the central and south coast here of the Panhandle. Otherwise stays VFR, North Gulf Coast, southern Alaska here, all the way up to the Brooks Range, and then back into the VFR, North Slope, and much of the Arctic coast, well, the east side there, marginal back to the west, We've got IFR slowly edging its way up to St. Lawrence Island, back down across the Nunivak Island area, otherwise marginal for the Aleutians. Passes tomorrow, Anaktuvik IFR becoming marginal, same forecast for Adigan. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, IFR becoming marginal improvement throughout the entire day. Rainy, marginal for the entire day, Sunday. And for windy, marginal VFR, but out the northern entrance and into the valley will be VFR. Isabel, IFR becoming marginal. And Mentesta, I think will be VFR. But Tanita, I think it'll be VFR for the most part, probably mostly VFR to be optimistic. And Portage, marginal. Chilcoot and White starting out IFR early, may only be marginal VFR, but definitely becoming VFR probably before noon. And for the freezing levels here, still a pretty good gradient right across the panhandle for early tomorrow morning, 10,000 feet. That'll be helping push those temperatures up into the mid-60s there over the southern panhandle tomorrow afternoon with the sunshine. Back down to 2,000 feet there just east of Yakutat, 2,000-foot pocket up over the interior. Icing, areas of mixed icing here above about 4,000 feet. South central Alaska, maybe the Kuskokwim Valley up here in the northwest as well. This zone right here, that'll be coming north and a little to the northwest. This will be spreading into Prince William Sound Sunday night and early Monday, and will miss the panhandle completely. And out here to the west, areas with that big storm, pretty good area of considerable moderate rime icing from Atka spreading in toward Nikolsky. And looking at the jet stream, we've got southwest flow tomorrow, trough associated with this cold upper level low. It's cold air mass in over the southwest interior tomorrow, so that'll spill into south central Alaska with the precipitation. Snowfall levels will be very low here from across the Cook Inlet area, and the trough back to the southwest. This one associated with the big storm coming into the Bering Sea and high pressure over the panhandle. So you can see at 9,000 feet there controlling the weather for the southeast coast. Southerly winds 25 into the coast, 30 to 35 through the central interior, and even stronger there here with that storm. 40 to 60 knot winds in advance of that system there into the Aleutians. And the 3,000 feet, 35 to 55 knot winds here with that system again into the central Aleutians on the increase of the Fox Islands. Southwest 15 to 20, 25 knots here through the interior from the southwest. Light winds, high pressure, panhandle in the Copper River Basin. Turbulence-wise, with the storm coming in, looks pretty moderate, considerable moderate turbulence below 5,000 feet, spreading eastward there. Probably reaching False Pass in the afternoon and extending back to the Aleutians. Otherwise, areas of lighter turbulence over the central interior. Don't touch that dial. I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
When you think of a national park, you probably envision wide open natural spaces undisturbed by human activity. There are indeed such places, but even in some of the most remote areas of a place like Kenai Fjords National Park in Alaska, the mark of man is present. Marine debris is a menace to the farthest reaches of our globe, and even designated national park lands are not immune. In the summer of 2009, the Resurrection Bay Conservation Alliance, a grassroots conservation organization based in Seward, Alaska, decided to do something about the marine debris fouling the beaches of Kenai Fjords National Park. Marine debris coordinator Tim Johnson had first-hand experience with the issue.
The summer before, my wife and I, Michelle, had done a paddle from Seward, sea kayak paddle from Seward to Homer. Really, our eyes were open to some areas that we didn't realize there was so much accumulation. It was very deceiving up front. You couldn't really get a feel for the extent and impact of it. You've got this nice high tide line that's quite pristine, and you really don't get a picture for the impact and the amount of debris in that area until you get behind those storm berms. You get back into the lagoons and the vegetation around those lagoons. And then you see the absolute extent back into that veg and how intertwined and enmeshed these decades of trash deposition. So we were just appalled by that and said we got to get something together on a larger scale.
The Resurrection Bay Conservation Alliance is a local nonprofit community organization, and they have been instrumental in helping the Park Service obtain funding to get larger boats to help move the debris, and they get volunteer labor and organize the work trips. And so it's really a partnership between the Park Service and the community to help get out and really get a project done that in and of itself any one group couldn't do on their own.
Most of that trash was baggable. However, there were large items, huge, piles of hauser line, for example, that we just had to hoist up onto the boat.
The volunteers didn't just bag, haul, and hoist the garbage, but also carefully recorded what types of debris were collected.
In many ways, the debris itself is a resource. Archaeologists use middens, the trash heaps, as a way of analyzing past cultures, and in one sense marine debris is a form of a midden. It's a trash heap that left for the future would be something that people could use to analyze our culture. It may not say the best things about our culture or everything that we want, but we need to be able to document what we've done so that we can preserve that legacy, make sure that we as a society don't forget what we've been doing.
We had two larger categories of marine debris that we picked up. Commercial fishing means like, say, gill nets, large hauser lines, anything that would be associated with more of a commercial fishing scale. And then the second category was more recreational fishing and household, which would be general plastics, things like that. So we had about a 75% of the commercial fishing marine debris element, and about 25% of the recreational and household further out the bay. And we had the exact opposite the closer we got to Seward. Within the bay, it was about 25% commercial fishing versus 75% recreational fishing and household.
The trash is not just unsightly for park visitors, but also poses threats to wildlife and marine habitat.
Really one of the larger issues now that you go to this plastic that can really get into the food web and affect the food web differently than something like glass.
These substances, for instance, all these polystyrene blocks that are breaking down into all these little crumbly bits are further breaking down on a microscopic level, and how much of an impact that has, in this ecosystem is yet to be determined, but I think it's got pretty high potential.
Well known that sea turtles will eat plastic bags floating in the water. They look like jellyfish to a sea turtle, and obviously a plastic bag doesn't go well in the digestive system of a turtle. Albatross will see small pieces of plastic floating on the surface and think they're small fish and other food sources and eat that in their stomachs, especially in some of the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. They'll find dead albatross that have starved to death with a full stomach, and it's full of pieces of plastic.
We're affecting our local areas this way, but we need to be thinking about it from more of a state and a global, international scale. And most importantly, to try and focus on prevention of it coming in the first place. Because we're just going to see this continuing, to build up on our beaches unless we're able to get a little bit more of an approach on prevention on the front end.
Marine debris is really a global problem, in all the oceans, and there are many different sources. Global shipping is one. Fishing debris from commercial fishing, recreational boating activity, activity on land, stuff blowing off land, washing down streams, people just throwing stuff on the shore.
Though the problem can seem overwhelming, Johnson remains upbeat about making a positive difference.
No, you gotta start locally. You gotta take control of what you can do, and make something with that, and try and move on from there.
Overall, more than 9 tons of debris was removed from the beaches of Kenai Fjords National Park and transported back to Seward to be deposited in a landfill.
People gave a lot to the project in order to make it happen. That was awesome. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Being able to put that large of a group of volunteers together, dedicated volunteers to put that much effort and give that much time and pull all the different agencies together to see it all happen was incredible. It was incredible. Yeah, very fulfilling experience.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at, let me back up a frame here. Today's sea ice analysis showing not a lot of change from yesterday. The colder and gusty wind conditions. Let's begin closing off some of these open water areas here to a lesser extent here along the coast. And after tomorrow, that pattern's going to end with the winds becoming kind of light and variable, so they'll kind of hold in a stationary status quo here for the next couple of days. And for the coastal water forecast, 15 to 20 knot northerlies, seas maybe up to 8 feet here along the south coast, north 10, 8-foot seas, north coast, south 20 for Lynn Canal, otherwise northwest 15 for the remainder of the inside waters. Monday, south 15, Clarence Strait, even lighter winds for Stevens Passage. And picking up a little bit there, gale force gusts developing for Lynn Canal out of the south, and west-northwest 15 to 20 here across much of the coastline. Eastern North Gulf Coast, though, north-northwest at 10. For Prince William Sound, southeast winds, pretty light, 10 knots, seas only 2 feet, and south winds at 10 knots here. For the eastern North Gulf Coast, north at 10. You can almost call this just variable, 10 to 15 knots here, right on down to the Barren Islands here, but becoming southerly there, picking up to 20 knots for Ketchimack Bay and all of Cook Inlet. And then for Monday, northeast at 10, becoming light here for Cook Inlet, southeast 25, smoke craft advisories there for Ketchimack Bay, and 20 knot southeast winds for the Barren Islands, and north to northeast winds, or northwest to northeast, 10 knots. So pretty light winds again from the North Gulf Coast, light winds for Prince William Sound. And Kodiak Island, south-southwest 15 to 20 tomorrow, south 10 from Sitkinak to Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev, south of 20. Southeast 20 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, south 15 for Bristol Bay with seas at 4 feet. And then for the Monday outlook, big increase in the winds, full gales here, southeast 40 knots for the Alaska Peninsula, 11 to as high as 18-foot seas. And minimum gales for the Bristol Bay zone, 35 knots out of the southeast, 30 knot winds here southwest of Sitkinak. Kodiak Island, not too bad, east side, they're just 15 knots out of the southeast, east 20 for Shelikof Strait. Out in the Aleutians, easterlies, low pressure coming up like this, so east become northerlies, 40 knots out towards Shemya. Southeast, 40 to 45 knot winds ahead of that front in the low center there for the central into the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Island, only 30 to 35 knots from the south-southeast. And then for the Monday outlook, those pick up 40 knots here for the Fox Islands out of the south-southeast with 12 to 20-foot seas. Seas as high as 23 feet there south of Nikolsky with those 40 knot southerlies. West-northwest 30 knots, Adak and Atka, and then those increase to 40 to 45 knots out of the northwest or north-northwest with 21 to 24 foot seas. And for the southwest coast, fairly light winds tomorrow, south to southwest 10 to 15, southeast 15 St. Matthew Island picks up to 25 in the afternoon for the Pribilofs, north 20 there for St. Lawrence Island, but southwest 30 for Norton Sound. And then those drop off to southeast 15 there for Norton Sound, east 30 knots for St. Lawrence Island. Good gales here along the coast of that front pushing up to the northeast there. So south of Nunivak Island, look for southeast winds at 40, east 30 for the Pribilofs, east 35 St. Matthew Island. And the eastern central Beaufort Sea coast, pretty light winds out of the east at 10. And then the west side here, 20 knots, Cape Beaufort on down to Wales, north to northeast at 20. Outlook for Monday, those switch direction there from Wales up to Cape Beaufort, 10 knots from the south, northeast 10 here on the western coast. No change for the Beaufort Sea coastline, marine zones. And for tonight, again, lots of snow showers as weakening system lifting northward. Kind of still an area of snow right through here from the lower Yukon Valley area where there's a wind advisory out for gusts 45 miles an hour to go along with these areas of snow. Also, a wind advisory kicks in tonight about, I believe, 10 p.m. here for the Alaska Range west of the Toe Cutoff. Winds will increase to 50 miles per hour and gusts again. Snow showers diminishing along that trough, along the Arctic coast North Slope areas. A couple of troughs here, upper level trough right through here with the cold air aloft. Snow showers going, incoming system in the Aleutians for wind and rain. Panhandle, lose the showers tomorrow, some sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-60s down south, a little cooler in the north with clouds. This mass of moisture will drift up Sunday night. Otherwise, stays snowy here, unsettled, a lot of snow showers and cold air aloft coming in, so snow showers to the Kuskokwim Valley, mixed rain and snow showers south central Alaska, depending on your elevation and the time of day. And again, that system moves north, weakens, and then shifts into the Panhandle for more clouds and showers. Big storm out over the Bering Sea with gusty winds and rain.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.